Chris, I know this is your second year that you're with us in Burlington County and Burlington County Institute of Technology and Burlington County Special Services School District. And it's been an amazing journey and you've touched a lot of lives. But I remember last year, it was so impressionable for us that when we heard the word Sayu Bona, we actually adopted that as our theme. And that whole idea of I see you and we're here for you. And we incorporated that. We had T-shirts that were made. We celebrated that in terms of what students do in the classroom. And that just created a tremendous energy. And that's how we kicked off this school year, and saying that student who's there, we're here for you. But as you have that, and you're with us right now, and there's a tremendous amount of energy, and you've given people a lot to think about, our staff, our students. So how is it that we can keep that fire burning? And kind of like what you mentioned about Sam, your wife, that she's the wind, if you will, under your wings. How do we keep the wind under the wings of our students and staff to take Nelson Mandela's and your message to heart?
Yes, it's been such an honor, Dr. Nagy, to come and to speak to the students, and it's been wonderful. And I leave tomorrow back to the United Kingdom. I do leave with a bit of a heavy heart because I've connected with so many young people and with people and teachers and head teachers. And I suppose the big one for me is that I'm hoping that what happens after this is that the conversation doesn't end, and that this will be the start of a conversation, and maybe I'll be surprised that some on campuses or in schools, maybe teachers and students will start maybe Ubuntu clubs, maybe, and that could be almost like an incubator for conversation, and about whether it's topical issues, whether it's about drugs in our society, or whether it's about how we react to each other. And hopefully, I was really amazed when I went to a school the day before yesterday, and all the students in that school, in my presence, it was all seniors, and they all came forward and signed a pledge. And the pledge stated that it's all about love and not hate. It's all about promoting the fact that we need to work together and understand that we need each other. So they took the message of Ubuntu, they all came forward, they signed, I signed also. And for me, that was a commitment of every student. They made their commitment that not just for now, for this week of respect, but for the rest of the year and for the rest of their time at school and in life, they're going to commit to the principles of Nelson Mandela, and that is respect and taking responsibility for your actions, and understanding that when we work together, we tolerate each other's views, and we don't just accept one view. So what I'm hoping is that all around, wherever people are listening to this broadcast, they would take that into account and perhaps promote that conversation, and perhaps they could just call it an Ubuntu club. And students, teachers, and perhaps even within the staff fraternity, they can have like an Ubuntu club for the staff, where people just support each other, and it's all about understanding that it's our well-being, and we need to talk and hope that that conversation gets further out. Stephen Covey talks about this in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and he talks about the fact that we've got a circle of influence, which is on the inside, and outside there's a circle of concern. And if we work on our circle of influence, which is the areas that we work in, we can make an impact on our circle of concern, which is even the bigger picture. And I just think if they start at that level where they are at the schools with their friends and their families, a bigger impact can be made.
Well, I think I already have my theme for next year. And it's going to be Ubuntu, and where you might have human relations, a committee of students. We might want to do that Ubuntu piece.
Yes.
And I think one of the other pieces to all of this too is not to take your education for granted.
Absolutely.
And that's something that you've said over and over again and provided a number of different examples. And so I really appreciate, and it resonates very, very closely to home, that quote from Nelson Mandela, and that is, education is the most powerful weapon in the world.
Absolutely.
And we need to believe that and exercise that those free rights that we have to truly express ourselves in such a way, and to allow this, that it's certainly not just the 100th anniversary of the birth of Nelson Mandela, but it's the legacy, and what is it that we're going to do, and how is it that we want to take a look at our dash at the end of our life and to say, how have we personified the example of Ubuntu?
Yes, absolutely, because that resonates with me, because I don't think a lot of students and people understand how privileged they are. And just getting a free education is a privilege in itself, because there are millions of children out there that cannot go to school. There are children where bombs are being dropped on them while they try to go to school, whereas we live in societies where education is free, they feel safe, and they take, we tend to take that for granted. And it's understanding that we must never take our freedoms for granted, because our freedoms is what our democracy is predicated on. Those freedoms, we never take that, and education is part of that freedom. And with education and with respect comes responsibility. They've got to take responsibility for their actions and make good choices.
Well, I think that to kind of bring this all together, you actually quoted an individual who actually talked about planting trees.
Absolutely.
Can you share that with us? And really, I think that really brings everything home.
Yeah, Nelson Henderson said, "We plant trees under whose shade we do not expect to sit." And I believe what he was trying to tell us was that we've got to do these acts of good. We've got to spread the message of hope and plant all of those seeds, and understand that some of the things that we do, we may never see the results of what we do, but we've got to keep planting anyway. The farmer plants and, he expects a harvest. That's what he expects, but sometimes it doesn't happen. So we've got to just keep planting every time, and understand that we may never benefit from what those trees that we are planting. We may never benefit from the wisdom that we share with others. But later on, young people and future generations will come across it, and it'll make an impact for them. It's just like our forefathers did things, and today we are benefiting it. And today I stand on the shoulders of a giant like Nelson Mandela, who planted a tree, and he's gone. He died in 2013, and I'm benefiting from that tree.
And we in Burlington County and across the United States have heard your message, and you come back a few years from now, and you'll see some of the trees that you've planted.
Absolutely.
As a result of everything that you've provided us. So thank you very, very much. It's been an honor and privilege.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.